Hello, hello, hello. Hello, guys. Good evening to all. Let me share my screen. What's that? PPT. Okay. What's that? Let me see it. It's happening properly. Yeah, this is the one, and this is the boot process. Okay. Okay, so what we are going to do today is we'll be talking about the boot process. Okay, so this is really important to understand. The reason why it is important is you'll have to troubleshoot, right? So understanding like how the Linux box works is really important. Yeah, so this is what we are going to deep dive today. Uh, we'll be only doing this boot process. So let me see that. We'll wait for a couple of minutes and then we can probably start. We could see only two viewers, zero views. Could say concurrent views is two. Let's wait for a couple of minutes and then we can start. Hello, Pius. Long time no see. Yes, brother. Last week I had conducted on Saturday, but on Sunday, due to some issues, I think we couldn't do it. But yes, this weekend, today and tomorrow, uh, I'll be there to conduct. And guys, from maybe next week, there might be a little changes in time. Okay, a little later. I mean, an hour later, or maybe an hour earlier. Okay, so it's because of my time constraint. I'm really not able to host the sessions on the shared time. So that was the reason why you could see little bit changes a little bit changes in time. Good evening, Isaac. Good evening. You have been you have been really consistent watching our videos. Please, thank you so much for that. I could see Pius and Isaac. These two guys have been really consistent. We'll wait a couple of minutes, okay? Because I could not see much views now. It's only three or six now, and then we can quickly start. So, Pius Prakash, are you talking about me? Introduction about yourself? Is that so? Yeah, sure. We'll start. Just give me 1 minute so that we can start. Okay, then let me start. Okay, so last week, where last week what we were discussed about was it was about commands, right? So like how we can use the alias, right? So this was the PPT that was shared last week, and I was about to start this boot process, but somehow we couldn't do it. Um, So the last week that is on day 5, what we had done was it was like how we use analysis, right? So what are the use of using analysis, right? So I explain each and everything out here, isn't it? So it's like uh, these, like, what's an analyze, why use it, and what exactly the syntax. Okay. And I also showed a couple of basic examples like how we can set a lice and where to check a lice, right? How you can set the lice and how you can also unset a lice. I think I've done fairly well in that. So I showed each and every steps, like how we can set the lice. So we're not going to discuss much about this. This is what the recap. I'm just saying that we had completed this lice fully. Okay, so this is what uh, to remove the alias unlice command is what you use, and in the name of the command, right, that you have aliased. So this was I believe this was discussed, and we also finished a couple of commands which are really important, like cp, mb, rm, cat. So these are the basic commands that you should know, because it's just the beginning. Okay, so it's for the beginners. You need to get familiarized with these commands, because if you keep on practicing, okay, these commands on a daily basis, then ultimately you'll come to know about it. And there are some other high level commands which I think I have not discussed, but yeah, we will discuss that too in the upcoming sessions. Like, I think I also have to show you like how to use this chmod command, chown command, umask. What exactly is umask? UMask is nothing but it's a features, right? It's a security features in Linux. So let's say by default your directory and file should have 777, right? Your directory will have 777, uh, and your file will have 666, right? So those are the permissions, like RWX, right? Yeah, example, let me show you that. Sorry guys, I'm really weak in this, so I have to work hard on this to give you the clear and simple contents learning. Okay, so when the directory is created, by default, ideally it should have the permission as what, 777, right? Batteries gone now. 29. But you know what? When you create a directory, ideally you should get 777 as the permission for the directory, right? But actually, when you create it, you get something else, right? It's 766 is the default directory that when you create it, you get these permissions. So how you're getting these permissions? Okay, it's only because of the umask. Okay, so it does some calculation and gives you the directory permission as 766. So this is what we are going to understand later. Okay, so this is what and how you understand the importance of umask. Okay, and also for the file, 666 is the files permission. Now if you apply emacs on here, okay, the moment you create file, you get as what, 644. Why you got six, how you got 666 644 644? It's only because of the umask. Yeah, are you able to hear me now? Hello. Just give me a minute, guys. Okay, are you guys able to hear me now? Am I audible? Let me check. Let me have a quick check. Just give a minute. Let me watch for a while. Okay, just give me a minute. Who is that? Was Yeah, Isaac is saying he's able to silent voice. How come silent voice, man? Let me. Voice is good. Yeah, it's good. It's volume. The volume is high. Yeah, this is high. Are you able to hear now? Hello. Just give a minute, guys. Give a minute. Let me confirm. Okay, so is it low voice? Oh, it's okay. Guys, please confirm it so that I can start. Okay, let me start then. Okay, so this is what we discuss about commands, right? So I was just discussing about these commands, like how we're going to use these commands, okay, on a daily basis. And after that, in the advanced sections, there are a couple of network commands which you should know. And once we have these network commands, then we'll also talk about monitoring your system, like what are the important commands that helps to monitor your systems, right? So the command top, edge top, psaux, the kill command. Kill is like, let's say your process gets hung. Yeah, oh, it's just running and consuming a space, right? Then in that time, how do you kill the process? Okay, like in Windows, you go to taskbar and then you just see which process is taking uh, long time, or which process is consuming more and more resources. Accordingly, you can kill it, right? But again, it's a bit risky. You shouldn't be killing it. Okay, like how it happens in the environment is, you have to spot, or you have to find that particular process consuming more and more utilization first. Okay, then accordingly you'll have to discuss with the specific team, or the particular team, to let them know that this particular process is consuming a lot of space, a lot of resources, and accordingly you'll take the approval from them, and then you'll kill it. You just can't kill that process by your own, okay, without having a proper approval. So in the companies, like in your projects, let's say you're managing the infra, Linux infra, and uh, due to some process it is consuming more and more space or utilizations, then only after confirming each and everything you're allowed to do that. Otherwise, you should not do that. Okay. So this is what the monitoring commands. And for the backup and archives, how do you gonna take the backup or the archive of a particular file or folder, right? Or maybe a whole system. Okay, so these are the commands which we will deep dive, but since, as I said, these are advanced commands, so you have to understand this both the commands. Okay, then we'll of course deep dive into this cron tab and add. Okay, so let's start with the booting process. So what exactly is booting process? Okay, so booting process is nothing but your bootable device, right? So when you load that whole thing into from hard disk to a memory, okay, so that whole process is booting process. So how it happens, let me share you this screen first. Okay, so okay, suppose let's say you have your Linux box in your laptop, maybe or maybe you are in the data center and you have your server, right? So initially you of course you rebuild the you build the system, right? How do you gonna do it is you have your ISO image. Okay, you kept it some particular locations and you boot it from that particular ISO, and then what happens accordingly you'll get the options to select, right? And then you create the OS. Like I can show it here, just give me a minute. Okay, so let's say I've got this VMware. I think I should have shown this like how we create the Linux systems. If you guys want, then I can definitely show you like how we can create a Linux system. It's I think it's good to show that. By the way, just wanted to let you know. I just want to know, have you guys? I'm sure you guys have your Linux box, right, in your laptop maybe. Can you confirm like who else have built their own on Linux box into laptop, into a virtual box or VMware? Anyone maybe? So if not, then I think it's usually it's really baseless, right? So without having any Linux box, which is attending class, which is not at all good. So it's like how we're gonna do it. I mean, if you guys want, I can show you like how we can build, how we can install the Linux OS into your virtual machine. I can show that if you guys want that. So like this is I've got VMware workstation on my machine. Okay, can you see it? So this is the VMware workstation type to hypervisor where I have created all these boxes. So let's say if I have to create any box, then how do you gonna do it, right? So you go here, create virtual machines. I'm not going to create, I'll just show you the steps. Okay, then next, then here you'll have to choose like Linux, right? And this is of which version of Linux you're downloading, right? Let's say if you want to download the Linux OS 8, then you will select this. Okay, if it's 7, then you'll select like this. 6, of course, it's deprecated, so you don't need these. but yeah, 8 is what the preferred one. And you do next. Okay, here you can just mention this name, or you can just name it like VM or Linux. Okay, this will be your Linux box. Okay, machine, and this is the location where you want to keep this VM. Okay, let's say if I just keep it as it is. Now it's asking the minimum disk, right? So minimum disk you can set is 10. 10 will also be fine, but always try to give 30 or 40. Okay, so this is the hard disk size. This particular things Steph is asking, and then you just do a next. Okay, so this is the configuration. Now if you just do a customize hardware, just here say memory. For any simple Linux system to run, you need only what 2 GB of memory is enough. Okay, so you set the memory as 2048 MB, which is 2 GB. Processor you can set 2, always set 2. Okay, 2 you can set. Then this is what the CD drive means. Where's your ISO drive, right? So this is important. This is where you have to select your ISO. So where's your ISO? ISO is where you'll download from. Where? Your Red Hat account, right? Like first of all, you have to open the Red Hat account. Like I've got this Red Hat account. Let's say. Let me show you all this first. Okay. So to download the ISO of Red Hat OS, you'll have to open an account in Red Hat. Okay, so here you need to have your account. Let's say, okay, so anything else? Okay, it looks like my net speed is really slow. Something went wrong. Okay, no worries. So you have to open account into Red Hat portal, and then if you just go to products, okay, so you'll have options to download. All right, so you can select the OS and then download it. So once you download that, so you'll get the real ISO. Okay, so like this. Let me show you here. So this is there. You'll browse that ISO from where you have downloaded. Like for me it's like here. Let's say like here, right? So this is a rail 9, a rail 8. I've already downloaded. So do like this. Select this, and then what into a network adapter you can select NAT. Okay, NAT or bridge, and then you do what? So yeah, this is what, and then you just close it. Okay, so once you do this, finish it. Now once you finish it, what do you do? So you can see your Linux box is created, right? So this is the one, isn't it? Now you what you do is you just try to power on. Now when you power on, you'll have the options, right? You see the options. Now accordingly you'll have to select. Okay, so this is what it is. Let me see. I'll just try to show you. you see that all how this boot process happens, right? So initially it will give you the options, like what languages to select with what time zone. So you'll have to select all those to pass this stage, and then once it's done, you'll have to just what finish installation, and accordingly your whole installation will be finished. Okay, so this is how you build your Linux machines into your virtual machines, into your virtual box or VMware workstations. So you'll have to understand like what exactly happens in the backend, see, when you boot up the machines or build the new machines. So what are the services runs behind it? Okay, so this is what you call is boot process. So let's understand in simple terms. Okay, so what happens is the moment you power on the button, right? Let's assume that you already have your Linux box, and the moment you power on the machines, what happens? See, when you press the power button, the computer's firmware, right? This BIOS or UEFI, right? How do you go inside it? How do you go inside this BIOS or firmware? So that again depends from which company's laptop you have. Uh, the preferred way is always select F12, okay, F11 or F12 or escape key. When you click that, you have the boot menu options inside. Like this is how it looks. Let me show you. This is how it looks. Can you see it? This one, this one. So here you can select. Okay, this option you'll get. I I, I can show it here also, but it is still checking. I should have click here to check it. Escape it. Okay. So this is gonna take time. So can you see it? All this. So understanding these things is important. See, then you'll have your options to select the options. Like let me start this, then I can show you like what are the options you'll get. Okay. Then once you're able to build this machine, then what exactly happens when you power on, right? So that's whole process, the booting process. See, it has started the installer, and then the installer name is Anaconda. After once Anaconda performs its activity, then what happens? The cell is available onto what? Terminal 2, right? Okay, so let me see. Let's first understand the concept. So when you power on the button, right, your laptop's button or your VM's button, so what usually happens? The computer's firmware, which is BIOS or UEFI, sorry, UEFI. Okay, this is the latest version of BIOS that gets started, right? Then when this started, then what happens is it performs a power on self test. So your motherboard inside your laptop will check that all your systems which are connected, right? Your mouse, your keyboard. Okay, so it ensures and check that all the systems, all the peripherals which are connected into your machines are properly working or not. If it works, then it will pass that stage. If not, then that will definitely give you error message in form of sound, some beeping sound, or you'll definitely see some error message onto your screen. Okay, so this is what it means. So it performs a power and cell test to what? To check the basic hardware components like RAM, CPU, and storage devices. Okay, it just checks that all these components are working properly or not. So this is what exactly happens on power and self test. Then once it confirms that all the devices and the components, okay, all the components are working fine, then what happens? The firmware then it searches for the bootable device, right? So your bootable device is somewhere into a hard drive based on the boot order. So you'll have the options to select the boot order. So here in the first place, let me see that. Just give me a minute. I'll show you practically here because and you'll have to understand this. Okay, so see, let's say if I'm here now, if you have to say the what if you have to say, let's see some other example. Okay, here. Okay, now let's go to here and just try to see what are the options, right? When it boots, my system is really slow today. I don't know why. So for this machines, I've just created this one. Like I've given the memory as 3. Now can you see these options like from where this needs to boot, right? Okay, see the auto, the ISO image, right? So under the network, so when it tries to boot, right, it will check from where to boot. So that particular boot order will have whether it has to boot from what optical disk or the hard drives, okay, or floppy drives. So these are the bootable options that the your bootloader will try to see it. So so what happens? First of all, I said that first the post happens, like power and self test happens. It checks whether the components are working fine or not. So once it checks, once it's passed, then what the firmware it searches a bootable device, right? Into where? Whether your bootable device is into a floppy disk or optical disk or the hard disk or SSD, right? Again, that's based on the bootloader. Then after that, what happens? So the bootloader execution happens. So what happens? So the firmware loads the bootloader. So what is a bootloader here? Normally the GRUB, right? It's GRUB is the bootloader. Earlier it used to call as Lilo, uh, but now it's bootloader. So the firmware, okay, the BIOS will load the bootloader GRUB from the boot device. Then the bootloader provides a menu, right? If multiple operating systems or kernel are installed or not. So like the bootloader, the one that I showed. Okay, so once finds a bootloader, what happens? It will load the selected kernel and the what? It load the selected kernel, and if needed, the initial RAM disk, right, which is called init ramfs or init rd into the memory. So this boot process is nothing but what you're booting the systems, right? You're booting the kernel right into the memory. So once it does, see, let me show you here. Let me try to look from here. Okay, first of all, power and self test happens. Okay, then once it's passed, it gives control to the BIOS, or nowadays it's UEFI, right? So that's the updated version of BIOS. Okay, it gives control to this. Now when the BIOS happens, then it BIOS try to see the MBR. Okay, what is MBR? It is the 512 bytes of the sector in your hard drive. Okay, like, so this will give control to the what by MBR. Okay, see, you can see here. So the basic input and output system what is a combination of both hardware as well as software. So this is the BIOS. Okay, then this provides us the option to what choose a boot, as I said, whether it has to boot from hard drive, floppy drive, optical drive, right? Then once it decides, or once it finds that this particular location has this bootloader, what happens? It gives control to the MBR. And what is MBR? As I said, it's a 512 bytes of the space in your first hard disk. Okay, see the MBR. So this is the MBR. Okay, see, can you see it? See, so this is the one. See the hard drive. Can you see it? Sector 1, sector 2, sector 3. So MBR is the first sector. The first, ideally it's sector 0, but it's, yeah, from here it's first sector, right? So this space is what you call as MBR. And how much is this space? Its total is what? 512 bytes, right? And again, if you have to go deep dive into it, you can see like uh, for the first 440 bytes, this is for the what bootloader resides here. And 4 bytes will have what? The disk signature. Okay. Then there are some other parameters which, if you want to understand it, you can go deep dive into it and you can understand it. Okay. So what, say, it contains the information about the bootloader, right? So this is what I was telling. Then once it finds a bootloader, what happens? It handovers the control to the what? Bootloader, right? Now, what is bootloader? It's GRUB, as I said, right? So GRUB is what? Grand Unified Bootloader. So this is a file located in the address like /boot grub or grub.conf. Okay, this is the file. Like the older version of the Linux bootloader was Lilo in the beginning, I said, right? Now it is what? GRUB, or nowadays it's GRUB2. Now what GRUB2 will have? So this particular uh, section will have what? It contains the information about your Linux kernel and initial RAM disk. Okay, so it also contains what? Information about the particular partitions in which the root file system is loaded. So when this gets loaded, the GRUB gets loaded, right? This bootloader, then what? It gives control to the kernel. Okay, now when the kernel gets access, right? So once kernel has the full control, okay, so what it does? So the name of the kernel is what? VM Linus. This I can show you show it to you, not now, later on. Okay, if you just go to /boot, then there you can see this VM Linus kernel. So what it does, it interacts between machine hardware and shell, right? So that's where when you get that shell prompt. So after getting control from the GRUB, okay, so bootloader or the GRUB has given the control to kernel, right? Now kernel loads its splash image first with the help of init ramfs, okay, so which are accessed even without mounting the hard drive. Then once um, this this is loaded, right, into a drive, it does what? So once everything is done, like from your GRUB to kernel, okay, kernel gets the power, gets the control, then it gets loaded, okay, into a first splash image with the help of init ramfs. Then it transfers the control to the init. Now init is the first program that gets executed when your Linux machine boots. Okay, so once init will get the access or will get the control, what it does, it will simultaneously what? It will later on does what? These steps. Now what are these steps? These are what? The run levels. Okay, so these are the run levels in Linux. So if you compare or if you try to understand from 0, 1 to 3, 4, so these are the run levels that was there, okay, until rel 6. Now from rel 7, you have single user mode, multi-user mode with NFS. uh, init 4 is used for the research purpose, okay. Then X5 is what? Init 5 is what? It's for the Linux graphics. Okay, for the graphical view. And 6 for what? Reboot. So these are the run labels that you should be knowing it. Like what is the meaning of run level 0? Okay. So if you just do init 0 into the system will shut down. And why do you do level 1? In case if you have to troubleshoot the Linux problem, right? You have to go to a single user mode and accordingly you will troubleshoot it. So that we'll try to put that into a run level, different run levels, and we'll try to see it later. Okay, so these are the run levels, and you have to understand the meaning of it. Okay, if you just do init 6, then your system will be reboot. System will reboot. Okay, so in the industry, you mostly find what? Run level 3, because it's a complete command line, and it needs minimum packages to get up and running. Okay, so mostly for the practice purpose, you can do this just at the time of installation. So like here, I can show you. See here, you have different options, right? You just select here, do continue. Okay, now it's getting hang. Now can you see it? Now here you'll again choose the options. Okay, what's your installation destinations? Connect to Red Hat if you want to connect it. Okay, you'll have different options to do it out here. Then here you'll set the root password. Here you can create one user before the installation, or you can do this after the installation also. So this is the whole process of how you build the Linux system, and at the same time how the boot process works, right? So let me go here and try to finish this first. So these are the run levels that I talked about. Okay, so let's say your system is just rebooting again and again. Now how do you going to fix the issue, right? So you'll have to find a file which has these parameters like run level 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So in that run level, if you just see it, there must be what? The run level set as 6. And if that particular file has got run level 6, then you'll see that your system will always reboots. Okay. So you need to figure that file first, and then you need to update that file accordingly if you want to prevent from rebooting again and again. Okay. So only once this is completes, then you'll get what? The login page. And once you get the login page, you enter inside it. Then that's how you get these partition, right? Which I already talked about, like what are the importance of having this bin, SSH, bin, etc, right? SBin. I think in the three or fourth initial only I had explained all this. Now in the boot process, see how we interact things, right? So after you have all this run level passed, then what? You'll have your systems in front of you, and it is where you fire commands, right? So this is how you understand the process. Now it is not finished yet. Let me finish that boot process first. Okay, this is done. So this step 2 is done, right? Now now the kernel initialization, what happens? So the kernel is decompressed and loaded into memory, right? Once the GRUB gives the control to kernel, what happens? The kernel is decompressed and loaded into memory. So what it does first, it initializes the hardware and it sets up the memory management and prepares the system resources. Then once you have this kernel up, so what it does is this kernel will mounts your root file system, right? Sometimes using what? The temporary file system, which is what we call is initramfs or initrd. Okay, so how it works, the kernel uses the init ramfs or init rd to load necessary drivers for accessing the main file system. And once the main file system is accessible, the temporary one is discarded. Okay, then here, okay, so once kernel pass the stage or everything, if everything goes well, then kernel will pass the message to what, your system, right? It is getting low. Okay, we'll quickly wind up. Okay, so in the system initialization, what happens? The kernel start the first user space process, which is called init, right? It start the first process, which is called init. Init will always have PID as 1, and kernel will always have PID as what, 0. Okay, so this is, they might ask questions like, what is PID of kernel or what is PID of init? Now you should know this. Like on modern system, you can see that system D, right? Nowadays, from rel 7, you could see system D. So this is exactly similar to what, init. Init was there until rel 6, but from 7 onwards, it's system D, right? So this process reads the configuration file and starts essential systems services. Okay, then all other steps happens once init pass the stage. Okay, then I said that after that there will be run levels. Okay, if it's run level 3, then it will have a command, uh, like command line mode. If it is run level 5, this will have what, the graphical user mode. See, then again how it works, the init or the systemd process starts the appropriate services for the chosen mode, right? And then finally what, this is how your systems comes online, right? See, finally you get what, the shell prompt wherein you have your what, user login. You'll be asked to type your credential, isn't it? See, you enter your username and password, and after the successful login, you can use the system. Okay, so this is what the booting process I actually wanted to make you understand. Um, of course, you can definitely go to you know you can ask ChatGPT to make me understand fully, like how I can understand. Okay, with proper analogy, then it'll help you a lot. I just wanted to give you an overview of how it happens, like this one as well. Okay, here you'll select all these options, and then you want to install this with the bare one or the minimal required things or the full installations. There you have to select. If you want into a graphical view, then of course you'll do it with full. If you only want, no, I just want to play around with command line, then you can just do what, minimal options selected. Okay, accordingly you can build your Linux system, and once you have a Linux system, then only practicing is what comes into picture. And I hope you guys must have set this up. If not, let me know. Okay, if you guys want to do it, then I can show you like how we can build the machines right from scratch, and then how we can use it. Okay, otherwise, by and large, I have explained each and everything for now. uh, do try to watch it once again, or you can also refer chat gpt. Okay, so wherever possible ways, but please understand it thoroughly. This helps you a lot when in the interview, when they ask. Okay, anything else before we wind up? Let me see the comments. I've not seen the comments. Let me see, where are you guys? Comments. Okay, low voice. Okay, guys. I have dual boot in my laptop, but while I boot Linux, sometime boots, sometime not. While Windows boot well. What can be problem? Also, recovery boot hangs. Okay. So you need to figure out like your system has proper utilization, the resources or not first. Okay, how much space you're giving it to create that. Yeah, so I think this is what I actually want to say. um, you'll have to check that. Okay, sometimes recovery boots hangs, means again you have to check properly whether your grub file is working properly or not. Okay, Michael. Okay, guys, anything else before we wind up? Okay, no problem, space. Then I think we need to see it, Michael. We have to check like what exactly the issue you're facing. That's where the troubleshooting comes into picture. So if we will be able to see it, only then we'll be able to figure out. Otherwise, these are the options. You can of course see it. Okay, if there's no space or problems, then there could be some other issues. Okay, I hope that you have a proper ISO image. Okay, anything else before we wind up, guys? Otherwise, I've got only 10% of my battery energy on my laptop because this might go off by any time. So before we wind up, do we have any concerns? I installed Linux successfully, but not showing on desktop. Emperor concepts. Okay, so is it something that you have installed the Type 2 hypervisor? Like, do you have VMware Workstation or the Oracle VirtualBox, or you have just install it into a whole laptop? So that you need to figure out, Emperor. No, you'll not be able to see this into your desktop, man. The reason is you need to have the hypervisor, either VirtualBox, okay, or the VMware Workstation. And if you go inside it, like the one that I'm showing now, see, okay, this is my Linux VMware Workstation, right? Inside this, you can see it, right? I can show you. See, can you see it? So you have to go inside it. Open this first. Go inside it where you have created, right? Then accordingly, you can just what switch on. Okay. Okay. Any more question, guys, before we wind up? Otherwise, no. ISO wasn't not working in VM, so I downloaded directly. So I want to understand, like, so you mean to say that you have installed the Linux into your laptop? Please download the ISO version from the Red Hat portal. Okay, let's say rel 8. And if you have any problem, then we can. I have the ISO. Okay, so you can get that. I can share that if you want. Okay, guys, then it's almost 1 hour by now. Okay, so we hope to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll again deep dive into commands, and we might see some a new concept to understand. Okay, I hope you guys will have a wonderful day. See you guys tomorrow. Okay, anything else? Okay, then see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.